Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 9. My name is Saithya Robert, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Tinubu pulls FCT out of TSA. Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino announces adoption of late cleric Archbishop Elijah Mboho's founded orphanage, Good News Community Humanity Home, by the state government. Plus, France launches investigation after teacher killed in knife attack at school. Details of these stories and more in a moment. In the news tonight is a report that President Bola Tinubu has pulled the Federal Capital Territory Administration FCTA out of the Treasury Single Account TSA, effectively paving way for the Nyesom Wike-led FCTA to utilize the territory's internally generated revenue IGR for the development of the nation's capital. At a news conference today in Abuja, Wike also disclosed that the president has approved the creation of the FCT Civil Service Commission to allow for staff career progression. And while President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of new chief executive officers of several agencies and parastatal under the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, including the Industrial Training Fund, Corporate Affairs Commission and Standards Organization of Nigeria. This was disclosed by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajirin Galale, in a statement today. He said the appointments are in line with Tinubu's resolve to base Nigeria's economic revival on the foundation of trade expansion through small, medium and large-scale industry facilitation in the country. According to Ngilale, President Tinubu expects all new appointees in the critical sector to optimally deliver in accordance with new key performance indicating benchmarks as established by the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. Away from that, the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, has assured the industrialists around Abara industrial clusters in the Ado-Ado-Ota local government area of Ogun State that within the next 4 months, the problem of epileptic power supply to the area would become history. He reiterated the determination of the federal government under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu to ensure adequate power supply across the country, especially in industrial clusters. The Vice President gave the assurance during the Abara Business Roundtable held in Abara, Ogun State. Shettima said it was embarrassing that the Abara industrial cluster relies on other sources of power supply aside from the national grid, adding that the federal government through the Niger Delta Power Holding Company was committed to ensuring that clusters like Abara benefit from a cheaper means of generating power in their various factories. Meanwhile, the federal government through the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris, has said that it is not in the interest of the government to stifle freedom of expression, but to promote healthy communication. The minister made the remark when he received a team from Google West Africa on a courtesy call to his office. Idris said it is important to have a platform where people can express themselves freely, noting that freedom comes with enormous responsibility, which should not translate to an avenue for the creation of anarchy in the country. He added that the federal government would continue to promote freedom of expression, allowing the environment to be free for everybody to express themselves and have the right of access to information. In the meantime, the federal government through the National Agricultural Seed Council has commenced training of farmers and other stakeholders in quality assurance and crop certification. Speaking at the training which held in Jos Plateau State, the Acting Director General of the National Agricultural Seed Council, Khalid Ishaku, said the federal government through the council was determined to protect the farmers and rid the country of any form of adulterated agricultural seeds. According to him, the training project, which is being carried out across the country under the Program for Seed System Innovation for Vegetatively Propagated Crops in Africa, aims to enhance the efficiency of the targeted crops seed system and improve food security in Nigeria. In a separate development, the United Arab Emirates UAE has expressed readiness to partner with the federal government in tackling humanitarian and poverty challenges in Nigeria. The UAE ambassador to Nigeria, Salem Al-Shamsi, made this known when he led a team from the embassy and Noor Dubai Foundation to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation in Abuja. The envoy, who described the relationship between his country and Nigeria as symbiotic, said Nigeria remains a strong ally of UAE and the Arab Emirates and would continue to partner with Nigeria in key areas like humanitarian aid, job creation, nutrition, healthcare, development and poverty alleviation. Responding, the Minister for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, applauded the government and people of the United Arab Emirates for their timely interventions in critical sectors in Nigeria, noting that the president has a great plan to eradicate poverty under his 8-point agenda and has begun full implementation. From the Green Chambers now, the House of Representatives Committee on Works has thrown its weight behind the Minister of Works, David Umahi, over his insistence on constructing concrete roads in place of the age-long tradition of using asphalt. The decision to back the minister's position was taken at the inaugural meeting of the committee at the main bowl of the National Assembly in Abuja. The move is coming on the heels of Umahi's appeal to aggrieved foreign contractors to stop sabotaging the implementation of concrete road technology in Nigeria. Chairman of the committee, Akin Alabi, assured in a statement that an effective oversight will be carried out at the Ministry of Works to ensure there is value for funds appropriated for road construction and rehabilitation in Nigeria. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, has said that Nigeria is committed to achieving the Sustainable Goals SDGs, stating that the resolve is unshaken. According to a statement by his media aide Musa Krishi, Abbas stated this at the ongoing P20 summit in New Delhi, India, while speaking on Accelerated Sustainable Development Goals SDGs in Nigeria. The Speaker stated that Nigeria's dedication to the SDGs extends beyond mere rhetoric. He recalled that in 2015, Nigeria embarked on a comprehensive transition strategy from the Millennium Development Goals MDGs to the SDGs, which sought to build on the gains made from 2016 to 2020, scaling up implementation between 2021 and 2025, and accelerating progress between 2026 and 2030. The Speaker also recalled that Nigeria established the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs, OSAP SDGs, in January 2016. According to him, Nigeria has conducted independent country-led evaluations of SDG 3, quality health and well-being for all, and SDG 4, inclusive education and lifelong learning for all. In the meantime, the House of Representatives today passed the Nigeria Audit Service Bill, thereby repealing the Audit Ordinance of 1956, establishing along with it Federal Audit Board, as well as provided additional powers and functions to the Auditor General of the Federation. Reports say when the bill came under the scrutiny on Thursday, 12 October 2023, various contributions and amendments were injected into the law during the committee of the House, presided over by Benjamin Okezie-Kalu. In its introductory remarks, the Majority Leader of the House, Professor Julius Ihovere, said the bill was part of efforts to erase colonial inheritance, make it in compliance with relevant sections of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. According to Ihovere, who represented the bill, which is rolled over from the 9th Assembly, the need to effect the changes has become expedient to give the board the independence, impartiality, and create an enabling environment needed for it to effectively discharge its statutory responsibilities. Meanwhile, Nigeria before now was the only country in Africa out of the 54 countries without audit law. In another development, the Police Service Commission (PSC) has invited interested Nigerians to apply as constables. The Commission, in a statement, also invited applications for enlistment as artisans into specialized fields in the Nigeria Police Force. It said the application portal will be opened for 6 weeks from October 15 through November 26, 2023. The specialized fields include medical assistant, veterinary assistant, band section, communications or infotech specialist, driver or mechanic, marine, plumbers, masons, painters, tillers, electricians, welders, and carpenters. The statement added that applicants must be of Nigerian origin by birth, must possess the National Identification Number (NIN), and must possess a minimum of 5 credits in not more than 2 sittings in WAEC and NECO, or its equivalent, with credit passes in English and mathematics. Away from that, the governor of Abia State, Alex Oti, has flagged off the reconstruction of the long-abandoned Port Harcourt Road in Aba, the commercial nerve center of the state. He expressed his unwavering commitment to bringing the road back to its former glory and enhancing its economic viability. At the 6.8-kilometer road flag-off ceremony at number 1 Port Harcourt Road in Aba, Oti said the reconstruction was not just a political show for short-term gain, but rather a comprehensive effort to restore the road's resilience and economic significance. The governor was joined by his wife, Priscilla Oti, and the Deputy Governor, Ikechukwu Emetu, among other top government officials in the flag-off of one of the most deplorable federal roads in the state, awarded to Julius Berger. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino has announced the adoption of the late cleric Archbishop Elijah Mboho's founded orphanage, Good News Community Humanity Home, by the state government. Governor No, who made the announcement during the burial of the late Elijah Mboho at Gospel Village, Medium Waterside, Abak local government area, therefore directed the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Welfare to work with the Office of the First Lady of the state on modalities of partnering the Good News community to maintain the late cleric's signature humanitarian project. This, he stressed, was a testament to the late Archbishop's selflessness in serving humanity, while assuring that he will do everything as government to continue to encourage the people and work hard for their good. The governor therefore sued for the support of all Akwa Ibomites, irrespective of political affiliation, to join hands with him in the development of the state. Governor No described the late Archbishop as an exceptional and compassionate spiritual leader who neither harbored nor devised evil against anyone, stressing that he was the epitome of kindness and compassion. And the governor stressed that the memories of late Mboho's kindness and his inspiring works of evangelism and uncompromising stands in righteousness will live on. Meanwhile, delivering a homily at the event on what makes a man great with scripture reference from Genesis 12 verse 2, the president of New Covenant Christian Ministries, Archbishop Joseph Alexander, likened the late Elijah Mboho's life of selfless service to God and humanity and his rise to greatness to that of Abraham, the father of faith. Meanwhile, the Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino has announced that Christ the King Primary School CKS, Wellington Basi Way, Uyo, which is currently undergoing remodeling as his pilot model school in the state, will be completed in few weeks for use. The state governor, who disclosed this during an inspection visit to the facility to ascertain the pace of work in the ongoing construction and remodeling of the school, expressed satisfaction with the level of work done by the contractor UNK Limited, stressing that once completed, the facility will be up to standard to cater for the educational needs of the students and also comfortable enough for learning to take place. According to him, contracts have been awarded for the construction of the model schools across the state, stressing that the same model will be replicated across Akwa Ibom. He reiterated his commitment to investing more in education, health and agriculture, amongst other sectors. The governor, however, urged the company to keep up with the pace for timely completion of the project. In the meantime, the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly Committee on Agriculture has embarked on an oversight function to the central abattoir in the state, where they inspected different sections of the livestock market and interacted with the different dealers of Akwa Ibom, Hausa, and other extractions of the country to identify areas of lapses towards the aim of ensuring that things work optimally as expected and that there is peace in the state's abattoir, which harbors people of different tribes and tongues in the country. Speaking in remarks at the various sections visited, including the cows, goats, and hides butchers section, amongst others, the chairman of the committee, Ubong Atar, noted that the government is sensitive to the plights of indigenous traders in the abattoir and that it is government's utmost commitment to address areas of concerns hampering the smooth running of the abattoir.
Central Adido, a revenue point for the government, and provide Uton and Wawome. And maybe Abattoir Uton. Now, we need to say Abattoir as of one. Men Unko Abono came metie and them move a yem Ebeka Ya Abattoir Afro.
In their various remarks, when outlining their challenges, traders within the abattoir, led by the chairman of Butchers, Xavier Ebene, sought government intervention in terms of provision of loan facilities to indigent traders, as well as means of transportation to convey their livestock for business. They thanked the former governor of the state, Victor Atar, for constructing the abattoir and the state government in its interest in management of the area, while the head goat sellers unit, Deacon Efyong Edemumo, in his remarks asked government to help in settling areas of rifts between the Akwa Ibom traders and those of Hausa extraction. In the area of touting, meanwhile, the leader of cattle dealers and livestock, Alhaji Mohammed Mijing Yawa, also spoke on the peaceful coexistence of traders of all tribes in the abattoir, saying there are, however, bound to be disagreements in some areas in any work of life.
This place about some years ago. I had a truck. Then I had a train of butchers. We don't know exactly where the truck is. So we don't find him, but our government, it's one. And you didn't know one for me. See, it's in your channel. You cannot say on air. So government should come in, anyone in. So it's not easy for them. If I want to say a lot of things there, how do you know you need so maybe I don't off camera. But if I want to see it, it's very bad.
Government, everyone give me all send to 10 point out in the money. If you all send 80, and then I need to give them, if you want to I be waiting on was in onion. Government, everyone, in I say, oh, why no? I will give my everyone in on the dog by one. Yeah, everyone in on the inside to make it why no.
We want to thank the House members led by their chairman, Honorable Ubong Atar, for coming to see us and hear our complaints. Actually, we know now we have parents because we know the ministry have been coming, we have been complaining. Now the House of Assembly have come. What we are saying is this is a complex place where involve all the tribes of this country. Because when you go down there, or when you look at those goods are from up north there. It is them that bring those goods. And we are staying with our host community cordially. We don't have any issue. We understand ourselves. We are doing our businesses effectively. As for the complaint, people are complaining. Actually, Nigerian economy is very, very bad. One, from the Union States, in Mike and Nick White Abba. Everyone gets a kid because I don't buy any 10,000, 15,000 is now 40, 30. Or more. So we'll get a gaga 100,000. I go right now.
In their imputes, members of the committee, Jerry Otu, Udrabong Ekbofort, and Dr. Nsidabe Akata, tasked the traders on harmonious coexistence, warning that the state would not condone any form of oppression from any quarter of the abattoir. Also, the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture, Mao Koite Basi, warned that persons who are not goat sellers encroaching areas reserved for goat dealers must evacuate the area as directed by government or be forcefully ejected. The House members also hinted that there will be spontaneous and disguised visits to the abattoir by the committee to discover for themselves what is truly playing out in the abattoir.
Prices of livestock is considerably much more cheaper in Abia State, in Rivers State, than in Akwa Ibom State. Why?
We couldn't fly in. And he believe that he may keep presenting governor. Because governor, you know the governor thank panico. And then I'm a thank governor. So who can for your fun? And when I get that to go to the year couldn't go on. Keep me.
And governor, His Excellency, Pastor
At the end of the tour, the chairman of the committee, Ubong Ata, in a brief chat with journalists, praised the outcome of the tour of the abattoir and assured that the government will look into the concerns raised by the traders doing their businesses there in the area of government infrastructural intervention and support through loans.
Decided to do an emergency oversight function at the central abattoir. We came to inspect the place and see the working conditions, the hygienic conditions, and the economic conditions of the place. We can say that everything is working fine. In fact, I really thank the Ministry of Agriculture for they have been visiting here and putting things in place. And but the main thing is that we need to increase the efficiency of this place and ensure that we generate revenue for the government and provide employment for the youth. We are coming under the agricultural agenda of Pastor Omoino that seeks to provide job opportunities for youth in the place of agriculture. So I'm using this platform to call on all the youths in Akwa Ibom State to embrace agriculture. The attitude of farmers must improve so that we will bring dividends of agriculture to Akwa Ibom State and increase the value chain. The value chain of agriculture is very, very important.
Still to come in the news. WTO says Israel-Hamas conflict could have big impact on global trade. Do stay with us.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people. But there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air. With a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Every day marks a day of significance.
That in view of the apology tendered by this former minister who had earlier been cleared by this August Assembly,
as we face critical issues, developments and events which shape our social and political landscape here in Nigeria and beyond. Political Spectrum is a program specially designed to help make sense of all the moving parts of developments and occurrences in our nation's polity and political economy.
There is nothing wrong with Nigeria, but there's everything wrong.
The educational history of public figures holds significance beyond mere biographical details.
From executive, legislative and judicial developments at national and subnational levels to international diplomacy and relations.
Join us for exclusive interviews with key political figures, expert opinions, analysts, thought-provoking conversations for and against, shedding light on the major issues that matter. We will always keep you updated on the most factual, smartest and unbiased reportage.
Stay tuned to Political Spectrum. Political Spectrum. All sides matter at the round table. Political Spectrum. Exclusive to Spectrum Television.
Many thanks for staying tuned. As we move on now to Africa, where Burkina Faso's government said today that it had signed an agreement with Russia for the construction of a nuclear power plant to cover the energy needs of the population, less than a quarter of which has access to electricity. Burkina Faso has been ruled by a military junta since last year and has sought to diversify its international partners, moving closer to Russia in particular. Reports say the construction of this nuclear power plant in Burkina Faso is intended to cover the energy needs of the population. It added that the agreement was signed at the Russian Energy Week in Moscow, which was attended by Burkina Faso's Energy Minister Simon Pierre Borsem. Meanwhile, a judge in the southern Senegalese city of Ziguinchor has cancelled the removal of imprisoned opposition politician Ousmane Sonko from electoral lists. Authorities had removed Sonko's name from the lists, preventing him from contesting February's presidential election. But the judge's decision means Sonko, who came third in the 2019 presidential election, will be able to contest next year's race. Sonko's lawyers launched a legal challenge on Thursday before a court in Ziguinchor, the city where he was listed and is also mayor. It would be recalled that the firebrand politician was on June 1 found guilty of morally corrupting a young person and sentenced to 2 years in prison. In the meantime, the Ethiopian government has dismissed as irresponsible and reckless a statement by the UN Special Advisor on the Prevention of Genocide, Alice Wairimu Nderitu, had warned in a statement on Tuesday about a heightened risk of genocide in Ethiopia. ICHREE was set up by the UN Human Rights Council in 2021 to investigate allegations of violations committed in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region. Its report in September documented crimes committed by all sides during the two-year conflict which ended last November. A subsequent report warned that serious violations continued in Tigray and in other Ethiopian regions. Meanwhile, global human rights organizations had wanted ICHREE to continue and broaden its investigations, but the deadline to extend its mandate expired last week. Still in Africa, more than 4,000 residents in Ghana's southeast have had to flee their homes because of flooding. Reports say as a result of the Akosombo Dam overflowing, homes and farms have been destroyed by raging waters along the banks of the River Volta. Meanwhile, essential services have been disrupted, with water and electricity cut off in some of the areas. Elsewhere, Kenya's Interior Minister Kithure Kindiki has said that the country will send assessment delegations to Haiti before deploying police officers to address gang violence there. Kindiki also said the officers were equipped to take on Haiti's gangs, as they had been successfully deployed to several countries before, including Namibia, Cambodia, the former Yugoslavia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia and Sierra Leone. It disclosed that police officers were part of the Kenyan security forces currently deployed to the Democratic Republic of Congo, Somalia and South Sudan. The Interior Minister, however, said the deployment will happen after passing all the legal requirements, including approval by the Parliament and the Senate. Meanwhile, Democratic Republic of Congo President Felix Tshisekedi has said that DR Congo will reduce restrictions in two conflict-hit areas where a state of siege, essentially martial law, has been in force for 2 years. President Tshisekedi said in a televised address that he had decided on a gradual and progressive easing of restrictions in the eastern provinces of North Kivu and Ituri, noting that the state of siege was imposed in 2021 in order to suppress unrest in the region. The president added that he would lift a curfew that had been imposed, allow the free movement of people and goods, and restore the right to peaceful demonstration and assembly. On the foreign scene, European Union governments failed today to give a decisive opinion on a proposal to extend by 10 years EU approval for the use of glyphosate, the active ingredient in Bayer's Roundup weed killer. The European Commission said in a statement there was no qualified majority either way in a vote by a committee of the EU's 27 members. Reports say EU governments will try again in the first half of November, when another failure to produce a clear opinion would leave the decision with the European Commission. It added that a decision is needed by December 14 as the current approval expires the following day. Meanwhile, the previous time glyphosate's license came up for reapproval, the EU gave it a 5-year extension after EU countries twice failed to support a 10-year period. So on the foreign scene, a terror investigation has been launched after a teacher was stabbed to death at a school in France. Reports say 2 people were injured in the knife attack at the Gambetta Secondary School in Arras in the north of the country. According to police, the suspect believed to be a former student at the school and that his brother has been arrested. Meanwhile, France's National Anti-Terrorism Prosecutor's Office has taken over the investigation, and residents have been advised by local authorities to avoid the center of the town, which is south of the city of Lille, following the attack. Meanwhile, 7 people, including a child, have died after a crowded minivan driven by a suspected people smuggler overturned in southern Germany. Reports say 23 people were in the van, which is designed to fit 9, and the driver attempted to evade police at a road check before losing control near Ampfing in Bavaria. According to reports, the accident happened amid a rise in people smuggling, which has led several Central and Eastern European countries to impose border checks. Meanwhile, the police said the vehicle's overcrowding contributed to the high death toll. A 6-year-old child was among the dead. Still on the foreign scene, Israel's army has called for all Gaza City residents to evacuate their homes and head south of the territory for their safety. The Israeli Defense Forces IDF said the army will continue to operate significantly in Gaza City and make extensive efforts to avoid harming civilians. According to the IDF, Hamas terrorists are hiding in Gaza City inside tunnels underneath houses and inside buildings populated with innocent civilians, adding that residents will be able to return to Gaza City only when another announcement permitting it is made. In a related development, Hamas has rejected an Israeli order for 1.1 million residents to evacuate northern Gaza ahead of an expected ground incursion into the overcrowded Palestinian territory. The United Nations said an order by Israel to flee within 24 hours risked a calamitous situation. Reports say Israeli strikes on the coastal enclave have killed more than 1,530 people since Saturday in retaliation for Hamas militants killing around 1,200 people in attacks in Israel. Egypt's Rafah crossing is the only route out of Gaza not controlled by Israel and has been bombed on several occasions this week. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said Egypt remains committed to ensuring the delivery of aid to Gaza, but urged Palestinians to remain on their land in a speech on Thursday. Meanwhile, Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar has criticized the Israeli military for its ongoing bombardment of the Gaza Strip. Varadkar described the strikes and blockade of the Palestinian territory as a form of collective punishment. The Irish leader said Israel faces legitimate threats as a nation surrounded by Hamas and Hezbollah. He, however, called the ongoing airstrikes on Gaza concerning shortage of power supply, fuel supplies and water supplies, saying that it is not the way a respectable democratic state should conduct itself. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. Here is Blyden Ukam.
Thank you, Xavier Roberts. Good evening. Welcome to Business News. My name is Blyden Ukem. In the news today, the head of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, today expressed her optimism for a speedy resolution to the Israel-Hamas conflict and cautioned that if it spread throughout the region, it would have a really big impact on already fragile global trade flows. While attending this week's annual meetings of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank in Morocco, Okonjo-Iweala warned that violence in the Middle East could exacerbate other issues that are already impeding trade development, such as increased interest rates, a tense Chinese real estate markets, and Russia's conflicts in Ukraine.
We hope this ends soon and is contained. Our biggest fear is if it widens, because that would then have a really big impact on trade. There is uncertainty about whether this is going to spread further to the whole region, which could impact very much on global economic growth. There is uncertainty as to when it will end. It is most unfortunate what has occurred, and we hope that all the violence will end, and our hearts go out to those impacted in Israel and elsewhere, in Gaza as well.
In Nigeria, the Borno State government has placed a ban on all mining activities in the state due to fragile security situation in the state, according to a statement issued by the Commissioner for Information and Internal Security, Professor Usman Tah, in Maiduguri. The state government is working on mapping and securing the mining sites with a view to ensuring law, order, and safety of lives. Tah said the state government will soon issue a code of conduct and standard operating procedures for the mining value chain to guide the sector. He advised all stakeholders in the mining sector in Borno to abide by the ban, warning that any violation will attract the wrath of the law. Still in Nigeria, the Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria, SPDC, has confirmed the October 3rd oil spill from its facilities at Paramabiri community in southern Ijaw local government area of Bayelsa State. According to the spokesperson of SPDC, Mr. Michael Adande, a joint investigative visit to the incident site to unravel the cause and volume of oil discharge was underway. The joint investigative visit is a statutory probe comprising representatives of the operator, host community, and regulatory agencies that generate a report to show the cause, extent of pollution after every spill is reported. According to reports, the leak from the Diabu Creek flow and a station operated by SPDC in Paramabiri discharged a yet to be ascertained volume of crude oil to adjoining areas of the community and the Non River. It is time for the Nigerian stock market reports, and today is the last trading day of the week. The benchmark All-Share Index inched up 67.5 basis points, a 0.1 percentage increase to close at 67,200.69 points, representing a one-week gain of 1.12%. When compared with yesterday's trading day, today's data shows 28% decline in volume, 8% decline in turnover, and 10% decline in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 36.9 trillion naira. On the aggregate, 121 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 16 gainers and 12 losers. University Press led the gainers with 9.77% share price appreciation, closing at 2 naira 36 kobo per share. On the losing side, DR Communications came at last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 8.7% at 21 kobo per share. United Bank for Africa recorded the highest volume of 48.2 million traded shares. This is all on business news, and back to Xavier Roberts for the rest of the news.
Many thanks, Blyden. Still to come in the news. Grigor Dimitrov beats Nicholas Jarry to reach semi-finals. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now in health, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is partnering with the National Health Insurance Authority, NHIA, to ensure sustainable access to affordable and acceptable quality medicines for Nigerians. The Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, made this known at a joint press conference with the Director General of NHIA, Professor Mohammed Sambo, in Abuja. The NAFDAC noted that under the NHIA Medicine Supply Initiative, 33 drugs would be branded with NHIA inscription and NAFDAC through the Directorate of Registration. She also said the regulatory affairs will ensure that appropriate and adequate labeling of the medicines is done in line with the agency's labeling requirements and in accordance with NHIA guidelines. Children Health, a clinical nutrition consultant, Sherry Ijewere, has urged Nigerians, especially pregnant women, to prioritize eating meals that include carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, and water to prevent their children from developing chronic diseases. She advised expectant mothers to eat a balanced diet to lower their risk of birthing children with chronic illnesses like diabetes and heart diseases, among others. Ijewere made the call at the 5th Annual International Conference of the Nigerian Association of Foreign-Trained Pharmacists held in Lagos State. The consultant explained that certain chronic diseases in children can start developing in the womb before birth. She noted that early life events, including exposure to toxins and lack of appropriate nutrition, can have a lasting impact on the health of a child later in life. Let's head over now to Isaac for latest sports stories.
Thank you so much. Well, in sports, Grigor Dimitrov is 2 wins away from his first ATP title in 6 years after reaching the semi-finals of the Shanghai Masters. He beat Chile's Nicolas Jarry 7-6, 6-4 in an hour and 39 minutes. Dimitrov, the 18th seed, caused a major shock in the fourth round by eliminating Wimbledon champion Carlos Alcaraz, and he followed that up as well. The Bulgarian will play Russian Andrei Rublev, Ugo Humbert of France, for a place in Sunday's final. Rublev, ranked 7, is the only player from the world's top 10 remaining in the tournament after a series of upsets, opening the door for Dimitrov to potentially win a first singles title since 2017 ATP Finals. Well, Saturday's semi-final on the other side of the draw has already been determined, with Hubert Hurkacz to face American Sebastian Korda after both won through on Thursday. Well, moving on to cricket. Cricket's return to the Olympics for the Los Angeles 2028 Games has been approved by the International Olympic Committee Executive Board. Flag football, a non-contact version of American football, squash, lacrosse, and base softball are also in. IOC members will now vote on Monday to ratify the board's recommendation. IOC President Thomas Bach said the new sports allow the Olympic movement to engage with new athletes and fan communities. Host cities are able to propose sports that would like added to the Olympic program when they stage the event. Cricket's only previous appearance at the Olympics was at Paris 1900 when Great Britain beat France in the final. It was also the only match after the Netherlands and Belgium withdrew. There is expected to be both a T20 men's and women's tournament at the LA Games, with the United States set to field a side as host nation. The United States is co-hosting the men's T20 World Cup with the West Indies in June 2024.
First, it was about the proposal of the Los Angeles Organizing Committee to introduce 5 new sports. And these 5 sports are baseball, softball, flag football, lacrosse sixes, squash, and cricket.
In football, Manchester City midfielder Calvin Phillips is ready to consider his options to leave Manchester City in January. Phillips decided to stay and fight for his place over the summer, despite struggling to break into Pep Guardiola's team in the first season at Etihad rather. But the 27-year-old is losing faith that he would ever be a regular at City, particularly after being overlooked for Premier League games against Wolves and Arsenal while Rodri was suspended. Phillips was signed for £43 million from Leeds in 2022 to compete for a place with Rodri. Phillips was left on the bench. He has started just once this season in a 1-0 defeat to Newcastle in the Carabao Cup, and has started just 2 Premier League games in his City career, both of which came at the end of last season, after Guardiola's team had already been crowned champions. And that's it on sports. My name is Isaac.
Thanks, Isaac. And on our entertainment news, Afrobeats artist David Adeleke, popularly known as Davido, has welcomed a set of twins with his wife Choma. The couple were spotted smiling with the twins, a boy and a girl, in a viral video today. Recall that the singer, who had tweeted that this week would be the best week in his life, lost his first son, Ifeanyi, last year after he drowned in a pool. The timeless musician had earlier warned his fans to stop circulating old pictures of his wife. Still on entertainment news, famous Nigerian singer Ayodeji Balogun, popularly known as Wizkid, has given an emotional speech at his mother's funeral. The singer, in a video on social media, revealed that the pain is profound and it hurts deeply. He described the pain as the deepest he has ever felt in his life. Meanwhile, BB Niger star Toby Bakre has mourned his friend and co-reality TV star Rico Suave 1 year after his demise. Recall that the late Patrick Fakoya, popularly known as Rico, who was a housemate in BB Niger Double Wahala season, died on October 13, 2022, after he was involved in a fatal accident on October 11, 2022. He was 29 years old, and Toby took to Instagram to post, "Rest on my amigo, we miss you." And lastly, on entertainment tonight, American actress and talk show host Jada Pinkett Smith said late rapper Tupac Shakur was her soulmate, despite being married to actor Will Smith for 19 years. The mother of two, however, said she and Tupac were not meant to be a couple, stressing that there was no romantic chemistry between them. She spoke in a recent interview with media personality Crystal Jordan. That's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You've been watching Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert. Wishing you a terrific weekend. Good night.